like that. Just different ideas to be playing with. Yeah, mount up, raise sword, command language. Abstractions. First premise is sound permeates the body. So when I speak, it's a bubble. We think of it as a wave. I actually just recently was looking into it, find out it's a bubble. Interesting. So this sound bubble kind of propagate, right? And interpenetrate into the body and tissues to where if you were to play a particular frequency, and we've seen this, you know how it can shake the glass or even shatter the glass at times. And then maybe wondering all the things that are happening inside of our body when we encounter various sounds. The obviously any kind of like traumatic experience oftentimes tied to a sound, car accidents and things like this, you know, loud bangs, gunshots. So you know, that encoded into the nervous system is one example of how significant a sound can be. We're speaking to each other all day. If we do ask ourselves, you know, like, what are the effects of the things that I say? The pace that we speak with, pure form, I like command language because it's really mount up. That's it, we go. It's very clear, straightforward, you know, run, go. Here, there, like, when you get into a lot of the higher level abstractions, like, you know, the thing about humanity, it's like not as clear as run, go, you know? When we speak to ourselves in abstractions, I really think that this can create a lot of problems and wonder if it's not the source of a lot of the mental disease that we see. And I mean that on multiple levels, you know, from genuine diseases to actual just like, oh, I feel like uneasy. And you're telling yourself things like, you know, like, I just want to be somebody. It's like, yo, you're confusing yourself, bro. Like, what are you doing? You know, you're coding your nervous system with some vague nonsense. Whereas if you were like, I get up and I pick fruit, everything would be coherent. Your body would be like, yo, we get up and we pick fruit, and that's what we do. And like the language is coded together with the movement, and everything in the nervous system makes sense. There's no dissonance. When we start to use all these abstractions, it's like, yo, you can really confuse yourself to where your body is like, so mount up, do we go or no go? Like, you know, and that's why I've been thinking about command language recently and seek to be more direct with the language so that we can all understand what it is that we're saying to each other and asking of each other. Syncopation simply has to do with establishing a rhythm when you speak and then breaking the rhythm at times. Like emphasizing the off parts of the rhythm. So we got syncopation, we got abstractions, confusing yourself, command language and coding the language together with the movement in the nervous system, then considering abstractions and what that's coding into the nervous system, and looking at those two things together to look to kind of coordinate some turtles into better positions going forward, right? That if we can start to tie our language together with the things that we do and do that over and over again, it'll be easier for us to use language to drive behavior. Let's start things from first principles. We're looking for drivers. So if language can be a driver of our behavior, then that can work to our benefit as well. Abstractions. To that I would tag also like, yo, it's not that they're like nobody's ever gonna use abstractions. It's just we want to minimize the confusion inside of our body more. Like I'm saying, you know, if you say something like, oh, I just want to be a good person, and you're like having all this, that, whatever, it's like a lot of energy is bleeding around, whereas like I go pick fruit, it's just like you're not bleeding a lot of energy. It's just like the thought, the movement, boom, everything together. So if that makes sense, then I think that that could help people, so I'm happy about that. Acquire reference, you know, like there will be abstractions and things we don't understand. There's people that are doing things that we don't have reference for, and to acquire reference is kind of the less lazy way to go about it. You know, you hear people say sound is a bubble. Okay, acquire a referent. You know about bubbles, right? So, you know, like watch the water boil, look at the waves, whatever you got to do. Sit there, think about it, visualize what does it look like, what are the forces, you know, like pushing out, and like acquire reference for whatever it is. You know, if you hear people talking about connective tissue remodeling and maybe it sounds interesting and you can kind of pick up some of what they're saying, but it is a little bit too dense for you, go back, acquire reference. What is fascia? You know, what is collagen? What does it mean for something to be elastic? What does it mean for something to deform? Acquire reference. Like, if we're out here and we're just like, like, we're being lazy thinkers, and being lazy movers, lazy thinkers, like, is what get us into the problems to begin with. So probably if we get after it, I think that we can